Okay, today we're going to talk about some basic operation of the Tascam DR40, and the 40X, which is the new model, is pretty much the same. There's not a whole lot of difference, although the X does have a few extra features, but most of the time you probably won't use those. So, first thing, these are the rechargeable battery packs for cell phones. I would suggest that you go to Walmart and you get a couple of the larger ones. I think they're about 12 or 13 bucks. And this is what I power all of my portables with, mainly because I don't like to keep messing around with AA batteries. It takes 3 of them. So I can use these and it works just fine. They charge pretty fast, and I just happen to like using those because I want to make sure that when I'm recording, I'm not going to run out of power. So on the front, there's a button that says Home. I'm going to click it. Screen's going to light up, and it's going to say Bus Power. Bus Power means this cord on the side. I'm going to hit the center button in this round display, and that's going to be okay. And then it's going to set me up for the recording menu. So on the right hand side of the recorder as you're facing it, there's a little red button. When you push it once, it's going to put it in record mode, but that's only going to allow you to set the levels properly. When you hit it the second time, that's showtime, and you're going to be recording. Now, when you come back to the home button, when you're done, you hit home, that'll stop recording. Now, in the center of this wheel, there's actually 8 buttons and a center button, which is a select button. So on playback, the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock buttons are up and down volume. The 9 o'clock and the 3 o'clock buttons let you scroll through the menu and go left and right. And then you've got buttons at 10, 2, 4, and 8 that'll also allow you to do functions within this. So everything that you need is right here. On the left-hand side is the headphone jack. So if you want to listen on headphones, you can. You can get a cord that has an 1/8-inch stereo jack to 2 phono leads, and you can run the output of this into a stereo for playback so everybody can hear. On the bottom, if you decide not to use the microphones on the top and you want to do line in and you want to get that little $99 Mackie 402 mixer, then you would run the cables into the back of this, just like I showed you the other day. And then you can control everything with the controls that are on the mixer, which is what I'm doing right now as I'm talking to you through this microphone. So when you're using the microphones on top, you set the levels by these 2 push buttons that are down here on the side. The top is up, the bottom is down, and that'll allow you to adjust the meter levels that you'll see across the front. So if there's just one of you going to record, I would leave this position just like it is in an XY pattern, facing you like this. If there's going to be 2 of you, then I would open it up and I would space myself about 2 or 3 feet apart, and one person facing this mic, the other person facing this mic, and you're going to be in left and right channels. That's pretty much, the book is pretty informative. I would go through it. You can set this up to do 320K MP3s. You can do 16-bit 44.1, which is the CD standard, or you can go up to 2496, 24-bit 96 kilohertz, which to me, that is a sweet spot in digital audio for me. and that's what I record in most of the time, and then I'll convert it in my software back to CD quality. So that's kind of an idea of what that is. Then you just hold this button down and the screen will go black and you know that you're turned off. And these batteries, once you've turned it off, if you're not drawing any current, they'll automatically shut themselves off, but you just hold the button. But I would get a couple of these. They also come in a smaller size, but I would get the big ones for doing recording work. Now, I want to go over a couple of things on my chart here about how you record and what digital audio actually means. So in 16-bit recording, every bit is 6 dB. That's decibels. So 6 times 16 gives me a 96 dB range, dynamic range. That's from soft to loud. If I'm doing 24-bit, 24 times 6 gives me a minus 144 dB range. This is very quiet to very loud. What you're going to have to remember is recording in digital is like filling a glass full of water. Once you've filled it to the top, don't go over. Because if you go over with the glass, what do? You spill water all over the table. Then you got a mess to clean up. You always want to stay below 0 for the highest recording level that you have. My recommendation is to stay at about minus 5 dB. You want to turn the very last bit on. So you could even go to minus 6 dB. I wouldn't care. But that'll leave yourself plenty of headroom that you won't go over and spill water all over the table. So, now the reason this is important is if you used to use a tape recorder, like a cassette player or whatever, the tape noise of that tape recorder, the hiss, was at minus 55 dB. It's way louder than digital audio, which is minus 96. In digital audio, there's no noise. The only noise you're going to pick up is the noise you're going to hear when you're totally quiet. Now I'm going to be quiet for a minute. What you can hear behind me are the 6 fans that are in my computer behind me. So if I was actually going to be doing recording in this room, I would turn my computer off and this room would be almost dead quiet. Excuse me. I have in my recording system a minus 80 dB noise floor until I open my microphones. And that's mostly right here. This is mostly electrical noise, but I've got filters on my AC lines, and so I've actually reduced the quietness of what I've got to minus 80 dB. And what I should have done was put that right above the theoretical here. This is very, very quiet. Very quiet. And so what that means is that when you're recording in digital, the very quiet passages, you're going to hear them, and they're not going to be buried in noise. You couldn't do this with a tape recorder because you've got that tape hiss that's in the background. So that's one of the reasons that in tape recording, they always go over 0 dB because they're trying to get further away from this tape noise. The problem is that when you try to magnetize the tape more than it possibly can hold, you cause distortion. So that's one of the things that we don't have to worry about in digital audio. As long as we don't go over 0, we're going to be fine. Now, when I go into 24-bit mode, my noise floor is way down here. But if my computer setup can only do minus 80, this is basically just theoretical at the bottom. It doesn't matter. I mean, anyhow, the quietest transistor ever made is minus 138. So we can't even reach the theoretical limits of what 24-bit can do. So we don't even have to worry about that. And you'll find out that when you're recording yourself, you're going to be surprised how much noise you hear in the background, because there's no noise floor. It's way, way down here. So what you'll have to do when you start recording is, if you're going to do it in your bedroom, close the door, make sure you've got all the noise off in the room. And then I would tell everybody else to not come by your room while you're recording. I have a little lighted sign out front of my door, outside my door, and I turned it on and it said recording in session. So people know when they start to come downstairs, if they see that light on, don't come in the room. So remember, digital audio recording is like filling a glass full of water. We don't want to go over. We want to turn the last bit on. The last bit would be 6 dB. We want to stay below 0. We want to get high enough and get close to it. But we don't have to worry about tape noise anymore. We don't have any of that. And generally, you're probably going to be somewhere around here. You're going to be surprised at the noise that's in your room when you start recording digitally. Once you open up your microphones, you're going to be surprised at how noisy the room is. So I hope that helps. If you've got any questions about this, leave a comment on the video, and I'll be glad to try and answer it for you. It may require me to do another video, but I don't mind. I mean, I taught math in school for 12 years, so I don't mind teaching. But it's really important that you understand the basics of digital audio and the tremendous advantage as to how quiet this is. And you can actually go in here when you get your Tascam, go in there and do some 24 96-bit recording and compare it to CD Redbook, which is 1644.1. And you're going to realize that 2496 is very, very nice, very smooth recording. So I hope that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, go back and watch it again. There's no problem if it takes you 2 or 3 times to really understand this. But remember, this is quiet all the way down here at the bottom. This is very loud all the way to the top. Now let me just say this. If you go to a concert, when we want to know how loud something is, this is actually flipped upside down. So the bigger the numbers, when I have my sound pressure meter, the bigger the numbers, the louder it is when I'm listening. And you all know that you want to protect your hearing once you get to about 90 or 100 dB. That's unbelievably loud in listening perception. In recording, we flip it upside down. It's totally different. And the reason that we do that is we're actually filling up our media that's holding the information in here. And so the media can only hold so much. And so that's why I use the analogy of filling a glass full of water. We don't want to overfill it. We don't want to go over 0. But you also, flipping that over, you don't want to go to a concert and sit there for an hour listening to 100 dB concert level. You're probably going to hurt your hearing. So generally when I'm at home here, I'm listening somewhere between 70 to 80 dB. And that's reasonably loud, but it's not going to hurt my hearing. So if you have any questions, leave a comment, and I'll be glad to answer them for you.